We've just got word that the chain hard fork for Cardano will be delayed by about 4 to 5 days. I'll be breaking down exactly why that is. We've also just heard breaking news that RFK will be dropping out of the presidential election and potentially backing Trump. And then we've also got RWAs hitting Cardano with the first ever BaFin compliant smart contract and a sale selling out in just a few minutes done by Finest Investments. As a part of today's video, I want to discuss all of that and more with the launch of Djed version 1.2, as well as Iagon launching a brand new piece of hardware. What's up, Beta Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central, your home for everything blockchain and crypto. My name's Fareed. As a part of today's video, and as always, we're breaking down all of the latest updates going on in Cardano. First things first, we've got a change in the date for the chain hard fork. We're still waiting on some pretty big centralized exchanges, which I want to bring to your attention. And then we also have Charles Hoskinson weighing in on the minor delay. Now, granted, it's just about 4 or 5 days, not the end of the world, but we do have to respect the fact that if not everybody's on board, that we do have to wait in order to bring this biggest upgrade onto the main net. Second, we've got updates surrounding RFK, who has officially announced that he's dropping out of the presidential race here taking place in the United States. If you weren't aware, he's running as a third party or independent candidate. And of course, historically, a lot of these races have been two-party, right? So either Democrat or Republican. And I want to highlight who he's potentially thinking about endorsing now that he'll actually be dropping out of the race. Third, we've got a pretty nice bit of analysis going on here with a cool metric, which has shot up more than 50% over the course of the last 2 to 3 days here in the Cardano network. I want to highlight exactly what that is and exactly why I personally think it's actually a really bullish signal. Now, after that, we've got updates surrounding Finest, which has officially launched their RWA tokenization platform. I'll be reaching out and actually getting Patrick Tobler here on the channel to discuss their recent mint, which has already sold out over 500 NFTs. Now, I'm going to break down exactly what that first asset was and what we can expect moving forward. Now, we've also got an update here surrounding Djed with version 1.2 officially live now on the main net. I want to highlight some of the updates to Plutus v2 or the adoption of Plutus v2, but then also some of the changes to their minting and burning structure and some of the fees and how those are generated. Last but definitely not least, we've got updates surrounding Iagon and the Cyclone QS, their brand new piece of hardware, which allows for you to contribute directly to their sharing network or their data sharing economy with little to no work. So I'll break down exactly what you get with the Cyclone QS. I'll break down how you can pre-order it and exactly what some of the specs around that actually are. Now, if it's your first time stopping by, welcome to the channel. My name's Fareed. I aim to provide you in the Cardano ecosystem with all of the latest news, highlights, and interviews. So if you appreciate content like this, make sure to smash that thumbs up on the way in. I really do appreciate that. But then if you have any questions or comments, make sure to leave those down below. If you want more content like this, consider subscribing as well. Now, if you're not aware, I am also a single stake pool operator. So if you'd like to show support, consider delegating with the official Dapp Central stake pool, which is stake pool ticker DAPP. Right now, you'll earn your traditional ADA rewards. You can claim those at any given time. You'll also earn the Matera utility token, the Sarah utility token, as well as the Tokyo Pay utility token. And that's all because the Dapp Central stake pool is a partner pool with all three of those ongoing ISPOs. That said, let's jump straight on in here. We've got a lot to cover. First things first, we've got the weekly development report where we've got benchmarks completing or being wrapped up for Cardano node version 9.1.0. Those have officially been released. We've also got more feedback coming in from Rare Evo 2024. Definitely and by far the biggest highlight of this particular month of August. We've also got some updates in the successful launch of Hydra Doom or Doom on Hydra. And then the chain hard fork has actually been announced. It was supposed to be launching on the 27th. There's a brand new date that I want to share with you guys here in just a minute. Now, towards the bottom there, we've got more development going on towards a Plutus educational course. And then we've got the onboarding and due diligence for funding round number 12 for Project Catalyst for everybody who was able to be funded. Okay, so now that we've sort of broken that down, I want to highlight the change for the chain hard fork. So for anybody who missed it, I released a video basically breaking down that we were going to get a go or no go announcement today, actually, August 23rd. And that has just come out about 15 minutes ago. So again, if you guys appreciate timely content like this, I mean, I try to get it out ASAP. Number one, smash that thumbs up. Number two, consider subscribing. And then number three, just engage. Just leave a comment down below. I definitely do appreciate that. So it states here, following a go or no-go call with the working group, consensus was reached to target September 1st to initiate the chain hard fork. Again, this brings governance online. Now, keep in mind, there's two portions. This is just the first one that brings the bootstrapping, and then we'll have a second upgrade, which actually turns it all on ahead of the constitutional convention taking place in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Now, it continues to read, this adjustment allows exchanges and dApps a little more time to make their necessary upgrades, ensuring the ecosystem is as ready as it can be for a significant milestone in Cardano's journey. I've mentioned this before. The threshold for stake pools is, I believe, 70% or more of the current blocks being minted using the latest Cardano node version. That has been reached. Now, in terms of exchanges, we have to have liquidity amounting to over 80% on centralized exchanges upgraded. Right now, we're at about 50%, so we're not that far off. Now, the thing is if we upgrade too early, whether that's centralized exchanges or even dApps, they're going to have a really hard time because they won't be able to interact with all of the upgraded nodes and all of the upgraded mainnet. Therefore, basically opening up the opportunity for issues going wrong when sending or receiving funds from a centralized exchange, or even from a dApp perspective, if you're not dealing with a centralized exchange, you just wanting to maybe make a deposit on a DeFi platform, and if they haven't upgraded, you not being able to do that because of some incompatibility or some deprecated code that was basically taken out with Cardano node version 9.1. So in order to make sure that everybody's safe and everybody is ready, obviously, again, SPOs have signaled first and the earliest, which is great, but we also have to make sure that we wait for the centralized exchanges and all the dApps as well. Keep in mind, even different wallet protocols have to upgrade as well. So these are all different corners of the ecosystem that have to be on board before we hit the actual go button. Otherwise, we're going to cause ourselves a lot of headache and a lot of potential issues down the line when traditional users want to basically just interact with the chain and they're having a hard time figuring out why a transaction isn't going through or why they're not receiving assets, etc. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Now, we did hear from Charles Hoskinson, and I want to basically highlight exactly what he's mentioned, which is the fact that a lot of people have been dragging their feet and it's now beginning to show. So this is from his official Twitter posted earlier stating, the magic of deadlines is that people who aren't taking upgrades seriously suddenly say, dang, we've got to get moving. When they finally get moving, we converge quickly. In addition, he states, it looks like Binance and a few others need more time to get their houses in order. So the rocket's basically going to have to wait, basically the entire Cardano community, and another epoch will have to go by before we can actually hit the hard fork. So again, it's not the end of the world. It's about 5 or 6 days extra. If you are a stake pool operator and you haven't upgraded, now is definitely the time to go ahead and do so. Take advantage of this opportunity. Now, scrolling down here, I do want to highlight the fact that if you have any concerns from a dApp perspective, an SPO perspective, or even a centralized exchanges perspective, you want to raise that to the Intersect working group as soon as possible, where it reads, next week, the Hardfork working group will hold 2 more open Q&As with dApps and potentially centralized exchanges. And you can also check out their Discord and social channels for more dates and links. Again, if there's any questions that you might have, you definitely want to go ahead and raise those as quickly as possible. I believe that'll do it here for that bit of news. The next thing I want to discuss is RFK dropping out of the presidential race. So we just actually got to see him if you were at Rare Evo. He wasn't there in person just because of how short notice the actual event was, but he did meet us virtually and he spoke with Charles for about a good 30 minutes. Now, it reads here, Kennedy is set to address the nation from Arizona on August 23rd and could potentially reveal more support for Trump's presidency. Historically, whenever we've got anybody who's dropping out from a particular party, they back whoever they sort of agreed on to push forward for the nomination. And the fact that RFK is independent, he's not going to be backing out, and it appears that he'll be backing Trump or the Republican Party. So it states here, independent candidate Robert F. Kennedy, or Bobby, has withdrawn from the 2024 presidential elections in the United States. Kennedy withdrew on the election on August 22nd, so just yesterday, according to a document filed to the Arizona Secretary of State. In closing, the withdrawal comes after days where the Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump expressed his openness to Kennedy playing a role in his administration if the independent candidate dropped out, Trump told CNN. So it looks like if he drops out, Trump will at least be bringing him on. We know that RFK is very well aware of the crypto ecosystem. He's shown up to Consensus 2025, Bitcoin conference in Tennessee, and then most recently Rare Evo for the Cardano community. And we know that Charles Hoskinson has a really good relationship with him as well. So the fact that he's in support of crypto, of Bitcoin, from a regulatory perspective, if he does win, and I'm referring to Trump, and Trump brings on RFK, that could potentially allow for RFK to still benefit the crypto ecosystem or the crypto community, while also being able to not necessarily be president, but at least work alongside whoever does win that the presidency. Now, in closing here, it does state that Trump has now overtaken Harris in poly market odds. Now, keep in mind, this is just one platform or one source, but it states that Trump has once again taken the lead in the prediction markets as the most likely candidate to win the US election. Again, my goal is not to get too much into the politics here, but we did see that Kamala had really eaten up a lot of Trump's lead after Joe Biden had announced that he was dropping out. And it looks like Trump has now jumped back in the lead again. Now, keep in mind, this is only a single source. Moving over, let's jump back into crypto. As always, if you guys are enjoying content like this, please make sure to smash that thumbs up. It's one of the best ways to support me as a content creator. It really means a lot. If you have any questions, leave those down below. And again, if you want to support me here on the channel, consider delegating with the official Dapp Central Stake Pool, which is stake pool ticker DAPP. Now, the next piece I want to discuss is the fact that we've seen a huge ADA metric skyrocketing over 52% in the last week alone. And this has basically, at least for me, been a signal that we might be back on for the bull run. Now, we haven't seen positive price action since March or April-ish, and we've basically just been consolidating with a couple drops here, here and there along the way. Now, as I'm shooting this video, Cardano is currently trading at about 38 to 39 cents. Bitcoin does appear to be breaking into a new region here, which is about 63,000, which is very positive. And overall, the entire market is looking green. So jumping into this particular news here, it states that ADA surged over 52% in a key metric on August 21st, which coincidentally is when Charles Hoskinson initially announced that the Hardfork would be going on the 27th. We saw Cardano's native token ADA witness an unprecedented rise in overall trading volume. CoinGlass reports that the cryptocurrency jumped over 54% at the time, underscoring the rising trading activity and interest from investors. Now, the first leg of the bull market here appears to have really been focused on a lot of meme tokens, not necessarily L1s and L2s. I do think that there will be a portion of the market or the bull market where attention flows back into projects with real utility. That's when Cardano will shine. Now, I do think that a bit of the recent volume is, again, directly tied to the chain Hardfork. But if you're looking at things from a grand perspective, Cardano went from 24 cents all the way up to about 78 cents, down back to about 32 cents. So if there's any sort of large players here that are DCAing, when we're getting an opportunity back at the low 30s, that is a great time to potentially load back up again. Not financial advice, but just based off of the increased trading volume, it does seem like there are people that are watching very closely and taking advantage of this current opportunity. Now, one thing I do want to highlight too, which basically shows that the bears are in trouble, is the fact that over the course of the last 24 hours, we've seen liquidations basically really taking out a lot of shorts in the market. So we have Cardano coming in here on the liquidation heat map. Again, current price is trading at 38,000. And we can see that over the last 24 hours, in terms of long liquidations, only $75,000. However, we're almost 4 or 5 times the amount there when looking at the 24-hour short liquidations. So for anybody who's trading leverage, obviously be careful. The markets can swing in either direction. But with the Chain Hardfork basically announced, Bitcoin appearing to finally catch another leg, the S&P 500 continuing to tap into new highs, it looks like we may be back on for a couple more months where we're seeing a lot of positive or increased price action. All right, that'll wrap it up there for that piece. Next, we'll discuss Finest. So we have Finest, which has officially gone live. Again, I'll be discussing this platform here with Patrick Tobler, founder of NMaker, one of the biggest NFT minting platforms here on Cardano. But keep in mind, it's not just him who's brought this product to market. It's him. We've got the IMX team, and then we've also got the Fluid Tokens team. So they've all three come together to launch Finest. Now, it states here that this allows for you to invest in tokenized RWAs or real-world assets. And one thing I love about this is the fact that this is regulatory compliant. So they've already gone through and they've received catalyst funding for a BaFin specific smart contract that applies to that particular regulation. Now, that's for the regulatory arm within the European nations, very similar to sort of like the SEC in the United States. So the fact that they've got an open source smart contract, which is BaFin compliant, basically means that from a regulatory standpoint, they are covered. Now, because again, it's open source, that means that anybody else within that particular region who's under the jurisdiction of BaFin, they can also take advantage of this and potentially launch their own RWAs, making sure to also stay compliant. Now, we saw the first ever asset being released, labeled as tokenized Black Galaxy Granite batch number 1. And of course, this was released during Rare Evo, which is why I wasn't able to cover it in person. But this announcement is now ready. So the ticker is GRNT1. We saw 500 NFTs going out with a cost of about $42.2 with an average return on investment for about 10%. Now, the issuer is labeled as LCX. We'll take a look here at exactly where the mine actually was. But this actually sold out immediately. So really, really good reception for their first ever sale. In terms of how this platform actually works, number one, you can head over to finest.investments, create your own account. Number two, you can top up your account with USDC or ADA and your credit card. And then third, you can invest in the first ever asset, which of course that's now completed. But keep in mind that once you do have your account and it's funded, you can participate in future RWA sales or RWA assets from the Finest platform. Now, here's the actual certificate from LCX here. I mean, as you guys can see, this is legit, looks extremely professional. We've got the date there at the bottom. We've got the physical validator for LCX. And then we've got all the different parties that are participating to actually make this happen. Moving over, we've got the actual pictures from the mines here. And we actually have it all the way to where it's installed, cleaned, and polished. I mean, that counter looks extremely amazing, super modern, obviously a little bit on the dark side. I prefer lighter schemes, but that is neither here nor there. This is more or less just focusing on the fact that they have completed the sale. And of course, congrats to Patrick and the entire team. If you have any questions about Finest, leave a comment down below. I'll make sure to go ahead and ask those when I bring Patrick back on. The next bit of news we have is surrounding the Djed stablecoin. So for anybody who's unaware, Djed is an algorithmic stablecoin which launched, it was actually like the first week of February back in 2023. So it's been on the market for a little bit over a year and a half. And if I'm not mistaken, there's over 4 million or nearly $4 million of the stablecoin floating around in the Cardano ecosystem. And that was all a part of Djed released version 1. Now, this is released by Cody specifically on Cardano. Djed does also have different stablecoins on different ecosystems, including, I believe it's Ergo, and there's also Zephyr and a few other chains like Milkamada. Now, that aside, we have the biggest upgrade since their launch with the release of Djed version 1.2, where it states here, we're excited to share that Djed 1.2 is now live, featuring major upgrades that Cody, alongside the technical team at IOG, have been diligently working on over the last few months. This includes, and I'll keep this recap relatively brief, lowered minimums for all mint and burn actions, switching from a fixed to a percentage-based operator fee, in addition to moving to a more dynamic fee for the protocol ratio. And then there's also the migration or the adoption of Plutus v2 smart contracts, which will bring enhanced interoperability as well as Oracle slippage detection and more. The biggest thing to really note here is the fact that they've basically made all the fees dynamic. When they first came out, everything was static. So regardless of whether you were minting the minimum amount or the maximum amount, you had to pay that particular fee. But now, depending right on how much you're actually minting, you only have to pay a certain percentage. So if you're minting more, you may have to pay more. But if you're minting less, you're also saving. So this is exactly what we want to see for more adoption, or at least as an incentive for people to jump in and play around with the Djed protocol. So it states here that the dynamic system for their fees allows for the protocol to adjust the fees between 0 and 5% according to the ratio, encouraging users to mint or burn Djed and Shen as needed to maintain the protocol at optimal health. Next, we've got the reduction of the minting and burning fees, which has made everything basically easier, where it states that they've now lowered the required minimums for minting and burning Djed and Shen from 200 ADA all the way down to 50 ADA. So again, this makes it a lot more doable, right, for the average person to jump on there and actually say, hey, I want to mint a batch of the stablecoin. Next, we've got more ADA being added or allocated to the Shen reserve for stability. And then again, we've got some updates here for the fees, which have now basically been swapped from fixed fees to percentage-based fees for operators. Last but not least, we've got the migration to Plutus v2, where it states that the migration to Plutus v2 brings several important improvements to the protocol, such as reducing transaction size and cost, as well as streamlining the development process. Lastly, these enhancements will result in a more cost-effective, more cost-efficient, secure, and developer-friendly Djed protocol. Some of the highlights include enhanced interoperability, Oracle slippage detection, stricter order submission validation, and the implementation of inline datums, allowing datums to be attached to the outputs instead of datum hashes. So the team at Djed continuing to upgrade, continue to take advantage of Plutus v2. And what's crazy is, as people are now finally getting to Plutus v2, we're now getting Plutus v3 with the chain Hardfork. So it's inevitable some of these protocols will have to upgrade. And Plutus v3 not only makes things more interoperable, it also adjusts some of the cost models when interacting with the actual blockchain. So definitely do keep that in mind as well. All right, last but not least, we've got updates surrounding the Cyclone QS being released by Iagon, where we have the official reveal. We've got the Cyclone QS, the traditional model, which is available for at least or at minimum $549. We've also got the Pro coming in for $649. Now, these base prices do not include the hard drives or the storage. The price does go up when you do include that, and I'll break down what those prices are. So it reads here, it's time to secure your Cyclone QS or your Pro device in order to basically plug and play and to support Iagon's revolutionary shared storage economy, where again, we've got two models, one for $549 and the second for $650. Now, there's an official page here. I'll leave the link to this down below as always, where you can now pre-order. This features 4 CPU cores, 32 gigs, I believe, of RAM memory. This will be 2 times faster than Ethernet. And then it states here, it'll come with 36 terabytes of storage included. Now, if I jump over to the actual details here, we can see here that the QS versus the Pro, that both of these, at least what I'm sharing here, does come with the hard drive storage and the NVMe storage included, which is why you will see that the prices are a little bit more than what was listed in the prior slide. So keep that in mind. If you're buying from the pre-order page, it does include storage, and it does take into account that that is basically an additional $600 to $700. If you were to purchase your own storage on the side, just make sure that it's compatible. But looking here, we do have different recommended internet speeds. So we've got a minimum, I believe this would be upload speed, and maybe it's download. If anybody knows, leave a comment down below, of 150 megabits. I want to make sure I'm getting that correctly. And then we got almost twice the amount of recommended internet speed for the Pro. And we can see that in terms of the RAM here, I mean, this is twice the amount. And this time, instead of getting 8 terabytes of hard drive disk data, we're getting 18. So 18 times 2, I believe that should be 36. I'm not a mathematician, but I believe that should be 36 versus the 16 here if you're only getting the QS. So, I mean, just looking at this here, if the difference is really only $300, I mean, I would say I would definitely go with the Pro. I haven't committed to this yet, but I definitely think that I will need to go ahead and pick this up. That way I don't have to use my traditional computer. I can just have the Cyclone running on its own and still earning and providing short storage to the Iagon network. Now, keep in mind that there is a minimum amount that you have to also stake. So here we've got the maximum of 53,000 Iagon. The minimum is same across the QS and the Pro, which is 6,400. And then the maximum for the QS is 124,000 Iagon tokens in order to contribute to their network. That will do it here for today's update. Let me know what you guys think, if you guys will be purchasing one of the Cyclone QSs, if you've already used Djed version 1.2, or if you participated in the recent finest RWA token sale. But that'll do it here for today's video. If you made it all the way here, I would appreciate you if you could smash that thumbs up. Hopefully you found this content to be helpful. If you did, consider subscribing to the channel for more content just like this. And last but not least, if you have any questions or comments, or just want to maybe share your opinion, then leave a comment down below. That said, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.